My brother Kurt and I are Bigfoot researchers. Every weekend, we go out and we look for evidence to prove the creature exists. That is, we used to. We had an experience that has got us rethinking how we spend our precious free time. Our research area is in Big Cypress National Preserve. It's the perfect habitat for a large, elusive, omnivorous primate. There's plenty to eat and plenty of places to go and see. It's also a hot spot for encounter reports. Our decisive moment happened there. We set up our camp as per usual, to tents, for trail cams facing in and out, all up on a dry spit of land surrounded by water. That way, if anything is coming or going, we're gonna know about it. We hang our food in a tree a good 50 yards away with a camera on it, too. The day was spent hiking around the area looking for prints. We found some promising impressions in the mud, but they were too old and vague to be exciting. We set up some bait to lure them in. I say them because we are sure there are at least 3 around. We settled in by late afternoon, had a meal, and got our buzz on until night fully came down. Kurt likes to call and would knock, so he did his thing. No response. I rolled my eyes hard enough to see out my rear end. We called it a night and went to our well-worn tents. I awoke to the call of nature at precisely 2:36 N. I know this because my tent and watch were illuminated by what I thought was the full moon. After a moment of regaining my waking senses, I realized the light was the wrong color. Instead of the cool white moonlight one would expect, I was bathed in a deep, blood-red glow. I looked around my tent, and unsurprisingly, everything was where it should be. I started working on my boots, trying to imagine a natural explanation for the light when I heard water sloshing. It was quiet. I thought maybe a raccoon. I heard one of our cameras click. I realized then how silent the camp was. No frogs, crickets, or anything else. The only other thing I could hear was Kurt sawing logs. Despite my brother's sleep apnea, I was able to trace the movement of our visitor by sound. I dared not raise my head to look out the screen in the roof. I wanted to wait until I was certain it was in camp and within view. The big guy slowly moved from the east, round the back of my tent, to the far side of Kurt's. The sound stopped. He must have made landfall. Another click from a different camera. We were going to have something exciting to review in the morning. Kurt must have either choked out or rolled over because I heard a gentle rustling of tarp and his snoring thankfully quit. I listened carefully. Aside from Kurt fidgeting in his tent, I couldn't hear any movement. Suddenly, I heard the most terrifying, guttural scream I've ever heard. It was Kurt. Before I had time to react, there was a series of bangs and flashes. Next, I felt more than heard retreating footsteps crash away into the water from Kurt's tent. And from mine. I had no idea there was a second creature near my own tent. It was completely silent. Then, the light I had forgotten was shining blinked out. I found myself in complete darkness. I called out to Kurt just as he was calling out to me. I asked what happened. Some bitch grabbed my leg, he squeaked. Grabbed my leg from under the tent floor. Something was touching my lower back. It slid down to my ankle and grabbed it. He was understandably blubbering a little. At that moment, we made the tactical decision to consolidate our forces in a single tent. Since Kurt had dirtied his tent, he joined me in mine. We stayed up till morning, but nothing more happened. In the light of the day, we gathered our supplies and headed out. We pulled into the Golden Arches for some food and to review our camera footage. We had to have gotten this whole thing on tape, figuratively speaking. Nope. Every single SD card from the camp cams was corrupted. The food bag camera got a curious raccoon, but that's it. Kurt is refusing to go back, but I need something conclusive. What would you do in my situation?